Oh, now you guys can see.
Awesome.
You guys can see this art. This art like responds when I talk. He opens his mouth. That's me now. I'm that guy. I'm gonna change that art eventually, but this is like a quick avatar that I drew, trying to figure out this like meme style talking puppet kind of thing. And I have some plans for this idea to maybe do a little content for the channel if I can continue to figure out this stuff. This is all through OBS that's going then through StreamYard. So it's kind of a weird little setup. It took me, I had to watch a couple tutorials. It's no big deal. But at first, it's always so intimidating, but then it's not so bad after that.
Yeah, I guess when you think about dipping your toes and you're like, oh God, there's something else I have to learn. But I guess sometimes, especially with all the infinite resources you have with the internet, you know what I mean. You can pretty much figure it out. I can't,
Yeah,
but I can watch you do it.
yeah. I know. I get paranoid that it's like you're like crystallizing brain, you know. So
Right.
like you're like, oh, I'm stuck in my ways. I'm an old man. I'm so intimidated by learning anything new. But I find if I do it first thing in the morning, sometimes that'll help. So I'll be like, all right, tomorrow morning, pumping myself up before I go to bed. Even I'm like, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna throw on a tutorial for OBS Studio and try and get this thing going.
That's awesome. That's a good way to think of it, especially in the morning, like you're saying. I don't know for me as well. It just seems like it's easier to learn. You know what I mean? Like it's going to work, and if you have to learn stuff, training and all that stuff. At end of the day, you've already set in your ways at that point. So it's like, all right, what am I going to learn now? At least for me, you know.
Yeah, my avatar here, he looks like a very content listener when you talk.
Yeah, he does. He's really he's into it, or he's like, man, this guy sucks.
I can make him, yeah, I can almost make him yawn, but I don't know. I can't make him do that without making a noise.
Do
So he goes, ooh, I can
it.
fake yawn or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's like with the most accurate thing of what it, because it's just like puppets opening and closing. And
I dig it
um,
though. You can add color, I'm guessing, and all that other stuff if you choose to.
yeah, it's just two PNGs, so it could actually be really good
Oh, that's awesome.
art if I. But and then I think there might be ways to make it a little more animated, like 3 frames, or then I think the VTuber thing's a little bit different, and that's like another uh thing like thing altogether
Hmm.
is you need like a green screen and it tracks your motion and turns you into an avatar. Have you followed that at all?
I've seen people doing it. Yeah, I mean, I've seen VTubers out there, but it's pretty interesting. I think it's cool. That way, you don't have to really, if you don't have to be presentable, so to speak. You know what I mean? You can be
Yeah,
in your underwear and just
I
still have a
was
cool
trying,
avatar.
yeah, I was trying to kind of wrap my head around it because at first I thought it was like kind of crazy or whatever. Like I lived with my cousin and he was kind of into it,
Hmm.
and it's like super popular. I think it's a little bit of a maybe like a Gen Z thing. It's like like people who are afraid to even use their phone to order pizza, so they have to order it online.
It's funny.
That's
Yeah,
like kind of the VTuber thing is like retreating more and more
it's
into
funny.
the digital layers. And
No, it's.
I didn't realize this, but V stands for virtual, I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure. And it is associated with VR. It's like it's a baby stepping stone towards VR. Like these VTubers, I think a lot of them do take it kind of seriously. Is like this is their alternate persona, and
Right.
if there was like a VR thing, they would try and match it and have it be the same throughout these. So it's like it is like a little bit like a cultural thing. That's partly why it's hard to wrap your head around it because you're like, are you guys are all stupid? Just show your face.
Yeah. Well, it's funny with texting too, dude. I feel like texting takes. I'm a call guy, but I'm like 2 minutes done because I like to just get the conversation over. For me, texting you have to wait for the person to reply. It's like telegraph or a telegram to me. So for me, I like to call and just get that shit over with, or just send like a voicemail or a voice note because I'm a quick talker and I
Yeah,
don't like to be on the phone. You know what I mean? Whether it be texting or talking. So if I ever call somebody, I'm just like, and then I have buddies that like talk like high school girls, and they're just talking for like hours. It's like, oh my god, get me off this fucking phone. Pardon my French.
yeah.
But yeah, that's funny, dude.
You know what the next like evolution for ordering pizza it is like texting and emojis, like just like sending an emoji text to your like pizza app or
Oh,
something.
I'm sure with like all the toppings and everything as well. Yeah, I mean it's that's gonna happen. But that's cool. I mean, there's gonna be a generation that's a little bit slower on that end, so it'll only give my kids an advantage. I hope.
Yeah, they'll be able to get all the pizza. Everyone else will be hungry.
Exactly.
That's like a dystopian future. Like it's all pizza, and other than that, it's starving people, and everyone's texting to get the pizza.
Oh man, that's
But
awesome.
so now that was 5 minutes without actually talking about the reason why we're here, which is the Tome of Reckoning. By the way, I know Ethan's live, and I think Bancroft is live. A lot of
Mhm.
people are live. So right now it says 4 people watching, and I know Caleb's here. Thanks, Caleb. If you're watching, say hi in the chat. Say I'm human if you're human, or say I'm a robot if you're a robot. And thanks for being here. But
For
yeah,
sure.
it's Tome of Reckoning is closing tonight. So this is kind of a quick 1 hour hangout stream with Dio, just making sure everybody knows that it's there and it's happening.
For
Caleb
sure.
says backer 67, Julie Pascal.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.
Losers. Thanks, Caleb. That's cool. 67. Nice.
Big
So
time, dude.
you're
Thank you.
the last guide probably to push it over 1700. That's
Hmm.
sweet. And then with Kickstarter, is it combining to like over 2K then?
Yeah, so it's I think 500 a Kickstarter, so it's like 2200, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was cool with 500 last time, so this is just above and beyond I could even imagine
Hey,
or
yeah,
hope for, man.
doubling.
So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure,
Hey,
for sure.
yeah, actually, that's actually really promising and nice because that's kind of like, your 500, like how many came back for issue 2. That's kind of a good metric, and you want that to be as high as possible.
Totally.
Sometimes you lose some no matter what, just because of
Right.
life or whatever.
Hmm.
But you're like building, and it will continue to do that, which is a cool situation.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope when they get the book, man, they can see that I'm 100% about this. I really busted my ass trying to make sure the writing's as good as the art, and the art's only getting better. I mean, I have my new glasses. I'm 2020 now, which is perfect. I mean, they're not the coolest frames in the world, but that's why I don't. That's why I'm a dad. But yeah, I see some repeat names in the campaign, and I'm stoked that they came back for issue 2, dude. So yeah, there's a bunch of new people, and hopefully they'll come back for issue 3, which will launch in April, I think. So yeah, I'm stoked,
Yeah,
man. Big
nice.
time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if it's like between 100 and 200 backers or whatever, you'd
Hmm.
be surprised how quickly you can like order those prints and ship them out. It's like maybe a week or whatever, or less
Yeah,
sometimes. And so then it's right into the next one. So it's and building. So it is like a kind of fun situation to be in the
totally.
early stages of getting the audience out there, getting the comics out there and everything.
For sure. Yeah, I'm stoked. I think yeah, I mean I should be able to roll into issue 4, and then I might take a break at issue 4 for like a month just to get issue 5 and 6 totally done. Because I'm working on issue 5 right now, but I'm also doing some stuff for issue 4. Getting all the edits ready for that. And then maybe take a break and do some trades, and then right back into it with boom, 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 books right after that. So, knock on wood, you know how it is. Planning is is
Yeah.
it not always goes the way you plan. So, but hopefully, if everything
The
works out right.
the thing I've noticed too is it's in between when you close the campaign and order the books to when the books get shipped to your house.
Hmm.
That's like the period of like almost before you became like a comic pro making money doing comics or whatever,
Hmm.
is like, which is a nice period of time. You're like, oh, all I don't have to promote anything or ship anything.
Right.
All I need to do is like I can work on some comics if I feel like working on them. I can kind of relax. Just do just the one hat rather than like 3 or 4 or 5 hats that we end up wearing, kind of thing.
Exactly. No, totally. And I'm looking forward to that too. That little bit of a lull because I can get all. I'm pretty much done with all the drawing perks. I actually cut the drawing perk out for tonight just so I can get that done and get some other stuff done. But you're right. It's gonna be nice just to wear one hat, get that stuff rolling. What I need to get going for the art side and the writing side, and then get right back into promoting and all that stuff later on. So yeah, stoked.
Nice. Yeah, Caleb says I like the new avatar CI narwhal. Thanks. Don't get too attached to it because I might polish it up, figure out in the making of Hotel Story. I was talking to Jared and we're like, what should we use for avatars? Because we weren't going to use photos.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, let's use animals. And so we decided that he's a fox and I'm a beaver. But it's funny that I'm not a narwhal. Like I'm a beaver named narwhal or whatever. But
I think it's good. It's that way. It's not on the nose, man. It's perfect. Keep them guessing.
So this guy might eventually become like a beaver, and that is loosely based on the mascot to the high school from 499, which is the first Narzac book. So there's some like kind of deep lore going back.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So so one kind of random thing to discuss. I have this document here, and this is like what ways for 2024. One of the things people do different things. Sometimes they'll do like, what's it called if you're like a New Year's resolution or whatever. Sometimes people do like keywords, or that's like the lady at the YMCA. She told me that was her thing this year, but I forget. Oh, I forget what her word was. It was something like it was like directness or something like that, or like focus or something like that. I was like, oh, okay. But mine is opening doors, like 2024 opening doors. And like kind of with that is like more like growing audiences, reaching wider audiences, how we might do that. And it's just kind of fun to brainstorm. And I have talked with multiple guests just curious about it. There's like things kind of outside the box too, but like one thing, it's like YouTube, there's some tried and true stuff like YouTube. You and me talked about that last time. And that's what this guy is like part of, is like, I want to get a little avatar going. And then it would be me and Jared maybe, and we'd have two avatars on the screen like this. And we were going to try and read some web comics and maybe play some visual novel games, just kind of
cool.
just content of going over other stories. And I think not doing it live, like doing it just as videos, maybe getting a little intro, that it seems like it could work, because it's at least, not that it would like work, but that's something I kind of been wanting to do anyway, irregardless of like if I'm building an audience or anything. I kind of want to read some web comics, keep up on that kind of stuff.
And it's also expanding, what you're doing. I mean, I think it's giving people a little variety. You know what I mean? I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. And with that is like webcomics is like another one that seems really fascinating as a possibility to expand the audience and stuff. Hey, we got Beautiful Twisted Faggotry. Thanks for being here, posting the links to Tomb of Reckoning. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, webcomics though. So, and I know some people are doing it. I find them randomly here and there. There was like a webcomic competition, and a guy, not like Comicsgate or anything, he was a Korean guy. He submitted this random webcomic for like a competition, and I read it. It was like the greatest thing I'd ever read. And I still keep in touch with him. But I kind of forget what his deal is. Sometimes, like, I don't know if they make a webcomic that's so good and they kind of get swooped up by like a video game company or something, and then they're not really making comics anymore. Like, I don't know. Like, you don't want that would be, yeah. And that's kind of like a scenario. Speaking of like the health of the industry, this is something that like your boy Zach has talked about, is like when you have your top tier artists all leaving because it's like better in other industries, that's a problem. Like comics can create a scenario where they are like the greener pasture, where video game people would want to get to comics. Like that's the way it should be, where you're drawing your own stories. Like that's a dream for many people. But
totally. And I mean, there was a point in time when they were paying people enough money where it was lucrative for them to be hiring big names. So I think I know we talked about this last time as well, is that it looks like it might be going that direction again. You know what I mean? There's like big names that are coming back to Marvel. I think, isn't it Capullo going back to Marvel? I think.
Yeah. I wonder, they're not. I guess it's like poo-poo to talk too much about rates, but I'm always a little curious. And Mark Miller has mentioned that like it was like in the 90s or something, his page rate for writing was $1,000 a page, like for Marvel in like the early 2000s, maybe. That's something crazy. Like that. And like that is like insane. That is funny, because like indie rates, like I paid some friends $60 a page, and I thought that was like, I thought that was kind of high, and I was like proud of myself for paying them so well, patting myself on the back.
Hey, you know what though? You should be, because you're not a huge conglomerate. For you to even take that initiative to say, okay, normally people get paid $15-10 a page for writing for indie stuff, to give somebody $60, that's fucking awesome, dude. That is cool. That's the way I am too, where it's like I want to make sure people are doing okay. You know what I mean? Like always, like if I can give out something to help somebody. So I think that's awesome, dude. I think you should be patting yourself on the back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it depends, like, yeah, like what you can afford at the time,
Totally.
and like when things are booming, it's like the trickle down economics or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I forget if that's the one that's fake or real, but that's the one that might be more real. The one that they teach you in school is fake. But you're like,
Right.
no, it kind of does work like that. Like the rising sea raises all ships. Some of these things have been
Totally.
said, and I do still kind of believe them and stick to them. That's the thing with webcomics too. But yeah, so it is interesting. Like the health of the industry and the way the comic industry works. You could be a pro telling your, like, I don't know, like I don't know why the dream. Oh, this is the problem, is because there is like a thing where it's kind of a cool job, and so there's a lot of demand for it. This is comics, so the high demand for the job that lowers like the rates for everyone, kind of because of the sort of fake prestige, like, or the fact that it is easy access. Like anyone can access it, especially with indies now. Like anyone can become an indie comic artist. So the demand is low in some respects, and that lowers the rates. And that's just kind of like the reality at this point. I'm not sure how you would like fix that, other than if just like everyone gets better and better, and everyone, it kind of becomes more and more known, a little bit like in Japan, where it's more of a cultural thing, where it's not like weird. The more people, where it's like second nature for them to back an indie comic rather than it being more of a boutique kind of thing, that would be like a positive development.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the nose with that, you know. And I like, going back to what you were saying about it being, you know, that the prestige or whatever. It seems like it was that, but then letting all these people in that weren't doing it right seems like it might be a prestigious thing again. Do you know what I mean? Just because it seems like they're not making money off the comics of all the people that they were hiring that were supposed to be like these new up and coming people that, you know, all the names that are doing the books wrong. So hopefully maybe it will be a prestige thing again, you know, where they do want people who are going to write books that sell and draw books that sell, you know.
Yeah, because
A
like
wider audience.
it used to be like the stories of how you break into the comic industry were very mysterious, and you would hear there's like lots of lore around them. Even like you'd be like, yeah, I like stalked the guy at his house for 3 weeks, and finally he gave me a small gig, and from there it kind of worked out. Blah blah blah. Like it's a lot of stuff kind of like that. Or it'll be like, yeah, I mailed them 200 submissions and was rejected 199 times from the time I was like 10 years old, or and then that kind of stopped at some point. At some point it was just like, yeah, I hired my work girlfriend, and she hired her girlfriend,
Exactly.
and she hired her girlfriend's boyfriend.
Yeah, because I remember like in the early 2000s or like the mid to early 2000s, they stopped taking submissions. Most of these companies, they didn't even like, you know, you used to be able to send stuff in, and then they all stopped asking, or all stopped having like addresses and whatnot to send submissions in. You know, Marvel stopped, I think. DC stopped. They had like that DC showcase thing where you'd have to go to a convention and like meet them and bring your portfolio and whatnot, which is like the old school way too. But they made it more of like a hiring practice. But before, you could send in, you know, your pages and whatnot, and then they stopped all that stuff, probably for, you know, legal reasons. But yeah, it just became weird, man. You know, I don't know if that was a corporate influence where all these people got bought up by bigger conglomerates, or you know what it was. But yeah, it used to be a different way. It's like what's his name? Uh, Walking Dead dude, Kirkman, how he talked about how he just went and like stalked Larson, I guess, and like drove him to the airport and all that other stuff until he finally gave him a gig, doing something. I can't remember, but from his story. But yeah, to what you were saying, it's a different way when you know, to what it is now, where it's nepotism.
Yeah.
In a bad
Yeah,
way.
and I was paranoid when I was trying to break in, because I would get that line a lot. People would say, "Sorry, I can't even look, legal reasons," and I'm like, "Are they just saying that to me?" And then they will look at like other people's, and that was weirded me out. By the way, we got 7 people here. Thanks everyone for being here.
Hey,
Jamie
guys.
Max is here. How's it going, Jamie Max? Thanks for being here. He posted a link also to Cody to Talladega, which is a cool thing Ethan's doing right now, sponsoring Cody. What's Cody's like YouTuber name? But that is kind of a cool thing that Comicsgate's doing right now. So if anyone feels like
Is that car gonna have the cyber frog?
Yeah, I think they
Okay,
hit their
that's pretty
goal,
cool.
and now it's going to possibly fund 2 races is like the stretch goal, which
Wow.
it is like pretty kind of fun outside the box stuff happening there, kind of cool. And
Totally.
I think what you get is like a little toy car, which is kind of fun too.
Oh, that's
Yeah, like
cool.
it's Camelot, and Camelot is a good guy. So I know he's buddies with Cecil and Rini, I think.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and then so that is cool, Jamie Max, and then Beautiful Dark Twisted Faggotry posted a link to the Tomb of Reckoning,
Awesome.
and which is our kind of main purpose here. 8 people. This is the closing tonight, everyone. So, and this is a kind of a cool standout book that's kind of made its way on its own merits, kind of pulling itself up by its bootstraps. You mentioned, I didn't realize, but it is a fun little like bragging point or whatever that it was 100 backers for issue 1 and or wait, what, like it's doubled though, right?
Oh no, so it was 13 backers for issue 1 at $500 exactly, and then now it's like I think with Kickstarter it's like 70 something backers. So yeah, I'm super stoked, man.
Yeah.
So excited,
like,
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, that is cool. And then yeah, it just continues to grow, and people get into the story. And this story too, isn't it 14 issues?
Yeah, so it's gonna be 15 issues. Yep.
15.
Yeah, and I'm working on 5 right now, so a third of the way done. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like you got a bunch ahead. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that it's doing right that is just fun to kind of spot and be a part of and back. That's kind of part of the fun of indie comics, is to find these kind of projects and get on the ground level.
Yeah, it's like I grew up playing in punk rock bands, and it reminds me of that. Where you go see this band, you're into them. It doesn't have to be punk rock, but just local music. Even you get into these bands, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they got something that you didn't know you wanted. And you're watching them every other weekend, and getting to see their audience grow. So hopefully, it's the same deal with this. Yeah, I just want to get my book out. You know what I mean? I want people to, I really love it. And I just hope people love it as much as I do. So
yeah.
Stoked.
By the way, a side quest, weren't we talking about side quests for comics?
Yes.
That it's a young art form that hasn't been I'm sure there's like achievements that haven't happened yet in this relatively young art form.
Right.
And
Banana.
Yeah, by Giant Banana. But I think you might have seen I posted it, and then someone was like, "It has happened." I was like, "No."
Yeah, but you know what? Just like what we were saying, just like Guinness World Book of Records, man. Just making it bigger, man.
Yeah.
Or a smaller.
Yeah. Just go bigger.
Yeah.
And then go bigger, go home, and then you have it. But so one kind of funny side quest that I don't know, this doesn't exactly apply, but it's just can you or can you not, or does your comic feature a beautiful woman who's actually beautiful? Like, can you draw a beautiful woman? Because not all artists can do that.
Right.
And you can, like, this lady's pretty.
That's cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's funny. She gets better with each issue, just because of glasses issues and repetition. But thank you, man. I appreciate that. There's been some panels though where I could probably get the award for drawing some really ugly woman too, though. So, but yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
That's the thing with comics is like, yeah, you want the characters to like look the same from panel to panel, and it doesn't always go perfectly, especially if you're like, yeah, improving as you go kind of thing or whatever. Totally. Or if it's like early time drawing them, you can look at like early Calvin and Hobbes and later Calvin and Hobbes, and like he looks so different. Same with Snoopy and Peanuts.
Oh, really? I'll have to check some of that out.
Yeah, and that's funny because it's more, I guess, like a slow evolution. Like he'll look the same in the comic strip, but then if you cut to a year later, he looks completely different.
Oh, dude, I'll have to look that up. That's so funny, man.
Yeah,
and I'm so used to them. I'm so used to them looking a certain way that it's gonna be really funny. It'll be, I'm sure, really noticeable when I go back and see what they used to look like. So
yeah, and like in Snoopy's case, it's funny. He goes from generic to iconic. It's a really good example of like design, and like I think part of it is like he just draw him so much that it just kind of comes naturally. Like it's not even like he sat down like trying to think of an iconic design. He just drew him over the course of multiple years. He drew him 500 or more times, and then by the end, Snoopy looked like the one that everyone can picture if you close your eyes or whatever. But in the opening ones, he's literally like He looks kind of like one of the puppies in 101 Dalmatians or something. He just looks like a regular cartoon dog.
Oh, really? Damn, I'm excited to see that tonight. Then that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it is kind of funny. You can check it out. But I don't know how that applies here. But yeah, we get you get better. Oh, I was gonna say not to point out someone who did mess up and draw wonky characters between panels, but it was JRJR in the new Spider-Man run. He was
Oh,
doing
really?
that a little bit, which is funny because he's like one of my favorite artists and he's so great. But I think he was like I think he had to work really fast or something. He had a deadline.
That's the crazy thing about him, though, dude. He's so fast, and he's one of my favorites too. His whole evolution, even his newer stuff that people rag on him for, I love it just because it's got this like it's a beautiful simplicity to it that I can appreciate, and some people think it's this and that, but he's a workhorse, dude. Like the guy can get that shit done. You know what I mean? I wonder how fast he works too. Like I really wonder how fast he gets a page done. But yeah, JR is the man, dude. Yeah, I met his dad
Yeah,
once, and his dad was super cool.
nice. That's
Yeah.
cool. Hey, by the way, in like 5 minutes, I have to go for
Mhm.
like 1 minute. So you
Yeah,
can
do your thing.
you can say hi to the chat when that happens
Yeah,
because
of course.
I randomly threw a giant hunk of meat in the oven and it
I
just
knew it was
happened.
cooking.
Yeah,
Dude, don't even explain to me. I'm a big cook, dude. Make sure you check that thing. Don't ruin it because you're gonna be pissed off at yourself. You'll be pissed off at me if you mess it up. So no, make sure you check your dinner, dude.
yeah, yeah. I'm not even. I'm still like learning as the thing for with cooking for me is it's like keeping yourself honest almost because my
Mhm.
initial instinct is like to not care and then it's like no 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 you could care like take a little extra time read some shit or whatever which I
Yes,
didn't
dude.
really do this time but I'm like next time I'm gonna read some shit
You should,
what
dude.
to do.
You should,
Yeah,
and dude, YouTube, man. I mean, I know I was a pretty decent cook before COVID hit, but then after, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty damn good now. And part of that was YouTube and just practice and this and that. And I mean, we haven't eaten out in forever, and part of it just because I just restaurants. It's never
oh
good, dude.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's overpriced, and the grocery store is about as overpriced as that is now. But dude, I cook at home, different shit all the time, dude. So
nice,
yeah, yeah. Make sure you check your stuff. If you ever want any tips or anything, let me know, man.
cool. All right, I'll be right back. It's
Do your
going right
thing
now so I'm gonna
for
go do
sure.
it. I'll be
What's up, chat? Guys, thanks for coming out, man. I appreciate it, dude. Everybody that's backed, everybody that's reposted, uh, anybody here listening to my big potato head talk. um, but yeah, I hope whoever gets the book, man, I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't know if you guys watched the Super Bowl. I didn't, but some of the commercials looked cool. I don't know if you guys saw the Deadpool one. It's probably the first MCU thing that I've seen in years that actually looks interesting. Oh, dude, I need to get one of those, man. Well, I don't have the instant read. I have the big old pokey one. Um, but yeah, that'd be nice. I want to get one for the stove too, or the oven rather. Any of you guys cook? Home chefs? What's going on, Brian? Narwhal's going to check his meat real quick. He's cooking.
yeah.
So
I'm back. Yeah, I it's cooling now, so
oh,
and it can
nice,
cool for yeah for like even a half hour. And then what I need though is talking about cooking. I need a
Mhm.
meat thermometer.
Dude.
So
That's so funny. Who's Dale just said that? Yeah, he said he better have
okay,
a instant thermometer, dude. That's funny.
yeah. No, what I've been doing is when if shit goes wrong, I'll like cut into it, and sometimes if it's like totally wrong or
Mhm.
whatever, because I'll usually under rather than over if I can, or
Right.
then I just like refry it in the pan, and then it's okay or whatever. But
For sure. Yeah, you should get a shoulder chuck, I think it's called. That's what I make birria tacos with. It's hard to mess that thing up, dude. You just let it boil and it just gets super tender. I don't know if you like tacos. I mean, everybody likes tacos, I guess. Do you like tacos?
I
Oh my.
do, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you should try a birria taco, dude. I'll send you the recipe. It's super simple. It's delicious. It's good to make at home, but yeah, it's super simple too.
Cool. I will check it.
Yeah, for sure.
Brian Kreisgau's here. Thanks for being here, Brian. Dale A. Simply Green. How's it going, everyone? 11 people watching. So thanks for everyone for being here. We know you got lots of options tonight on what to watch.
For sure.
But we're just getting the word out that it's Tomb of Reckoning's last night. So it closes tonight. No in demand, is that correct?
Yeah, it might be in demand for like an hour or something like that because I got to turn it off. But yeah, I just want to get it closed, get it out because I from my understanding, you can't put out an email for your second campaign if it's up or something like that. Yeah, I just want to close it and just have it done, and just move on to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, sounds good. So that's because it's done, so it's ready to fulfill. So it's kind of going to end tonight. So this is your chance. It's one of those fun ones that you can get in on the ground level. This is one that's been making itself known just from the quality is that DIO brings to it. You're the artist and the writer and co-coloring with your wife, which is
cool.
Classic, comic combo.
Right. Yeah, which is stoked. Yeah, I was excited about that because she's not a comic. She was a big anime and manga fan as a kid, but she's like a traditional artist. And then she was like, "Yeah, I'll color your book," and she did the first issue, and I love it. And then she helped me with the second one, and then she's back on full duty for the third issue. She's almost done with the third one, I think. She's been cranking away, and the chick's like 8 months pregnant. We're gonna have a baby in the first week of March, so she's just sitting there with her Cintiq on her on a pillow on her belly and cranking away. So she's a workhorse, dude. She's awesome. But yeah, I'm stoked. She's coloring full time for the next for the rest of the issues. So
nice.
Yeah,
that is cool. Teamwork.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's not slave labor. Don't let anyone.
Well, we talked about that too. As soon as my kid is old enough, man. I mean, I'm already showing her the iPad. I mean, she's pretty cool. She likes drawing like on regular traditional paper and stuff. Just because we don't want her on a screen all the time. But slowly getting her used to a screen so it's so she can start coloring stuff later on and give mom a break. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I can picture like there's various levels of like ethics. Like you could be like, want to play a new game, honey? Look at this fun game. It's awesome. A coloring.
Stay in the lines, dude. It's so funny. She's only 3. She just turned 3, and she like when she colors stuff like like from the grocery store or whatever, like little coloring book stuff, she stays in the line. She's pretty good, dude. It's insane. So hopefully, yeah. I mean, it's sweatshop. We got another one coming too, so and get them working.
Nice, yeah. Angela Curry's here. Thanks, Angela, for popping in. Is it closing or just going into in demand?
Closing. So it closes tonight at 3 or 2:39 Monday morning. But I'm going to turn off I think in demand is off, but I'm going to check. But I know sometimes when you turn it off, it stays on for like an hour or two afterwards. But no, closing out. So yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And why don't we go do kind of a quick pitch for Tome of Reckoning? Do you want to give the kind of summary pitch for it?
Yeah, it's about a group of misfits that are thrown together during an impending apocalypse, and they are thrown into a crazy situation where they're on a road trip, fighting a 2-front war against shadowy government forces and an ancient evil from beyond.
Cool.
Werewolves, vampires, interdimensional beings, wizards, ancient history, espionage. It's a lot of stuff, but I really, took my big-headed time figuring it all out and putting all the pieces together. So I hope you guys dig it.
Nice. So yeah, so it's like the two forces having this big battle, and then there's some people caught in the middle. Yeah. Correct.
Yes.
And that's kind of your main characters.
I'm sorry.
That's your main characters is the people in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah, the people caught in the middle, just the ones who just looking to survive and make it to the other end and hopefully see a brighter future when the world restarts.
Yeah, classic. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Nice. So back to this untitled document 2024 opening doors. This is like a presentation you'd go see at a meeting room of a hotel.
Exactly. I'm gonna get a timeshare out of this. I got a free weekend at the hotel by listening to this. I'm down.
I forgot 2024 opening doors like kind of rhymes. I'm totally gonna start saying it more now.
You gotta say it with conviction. Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag it on Twitter. Or
it's awesome.
2024 opening doors. And then like shing, a little star across the screen.
It doesn't feel like it's The Office. It's like something Michael Scott would do.
Yeah.
Great, dude.
Yeah. And then it's like YouTube, webcomics.
Yeah.
I was gonna write visual novels. That's another one that's like kind of, but so web comics, a little bit more ranting about that is
Mhm.
it's the common America people. They also have a web comic, and I think that's cool. That's like a cool idea. And I'm so curious about like that whole market. That's another where you kind of hear stories, and you're like, how does this even work? What? Like another one that where the story is kind of happening is Odie, who is the artist for Liam, the Aussie, the
Mhm.
Liam who is like like a man of note in kind of in comic skate one
Mhm.
way or the other, just like interesting fellow, and involved in a fair amount of memes himself, you could say
Mhm.
something like that. And then him and Odie, they had their first book, and I forget what it was called, but it was cool, you know. And Odie's like an amazing artist, and then Odie's been doing his own thing and just publishing it on like Webtoon, and
Yeah.
apparently it went like viral slash I don't know like mega viral. I don't know, like it did really well
That's awesome.
on Webtoon. It was kind of one of these things that would be on their title screen, and I think, you know, he's kind of living a little bit the life, a little bit more like the manga style, where he's like literally drawing, I don't know, like 12 hours or more a day. Maybe
Wow.
12's up quite a bit. But I think he's like, I know he was kind of saying that even when he was working with Liam, it's like, uh, he said had just had his tablet with him at all times, no matter what. If he had to go grocery shopping, he would actually be like drawing while he's grocery shopping, you know,
That's
like
funny, man.
yeah, and it's like kind of like that the romance is the wrong word, but like the lore kind of surrounded by like even manga
Mhm.
people, like how the way they die from overwork and stuff,
Right.
and the deadlines and getting like 30 pages a week. I think it was something like that that Odie had to hit like 30 pages a week,
Damn.
and so he's doing that. He's doing this kind of big epic webtoon thing, which I want to read it now that I talk about it. This is what this guy's for, like my little avatar here.
I was
I
gonna
want to
say
read some. Yeah,
that's the perfect one to read. Maybe it could be your first episode.
yeah. That it'll be like me with one of these going over some web comics and just uploading them to YouTube. Um, and yeah, but so Odie though he got picked up by Dark Horse, and his web comic got reformatted and published as a graphic novel through Dark Horse, and it's doing great there too. A
That's
lot of
awesome.
some of these web comics, when they do really well, they'll crowdfund it. I don't know if his Dark Horse release got crowdfunded, but that will happen too, where you go through a publisher, then it gets crowdfunded or whatever. But a lot of times those are the things they'll break the records or whatever.
It's crazy.
Those are the ones that'll make 1 million or more. These like uh, perennial kind of big, well-known webtoons.
Have you put anything on Webtoons or any of the other online?
I was randomly messing with it with Earthbound
Mhm.
way back in the day and like trying like the first chapter, throwing it up, and I never did. It's like it's kind of like how I do cooking. I do everything kind of wrong because I don't. I need to just take that extra time to like watch the YouTube video or whatever because I think it requires like special formatting, and I didn't even do that. I was like, I'm just gonna upload the pages, so it's like a webtoon where you don't scroll down and see panel by panel because I didn't reformat it at
Right.
it. So it was just which some web comics can be like that too, just like page by page. It's just literally a comic page. But
Right.
that's less chance of going viral if you do that. And I think I got some feedback and people saying they liked it, but you know, if I would have kept posting or posted the second and third installments, it would have grown or whatever.
Right.
But it didn't have that feeling like where you're like, oh shit, I might be onto something here. I definitely didn't have that.
You know, it's
Um,
funny because I don't know how you feel, but like when you do a page, like do you look at it as panel per panel, or do you see it as like? I mean, I know we see it as panel per panel, but I mean, like when you put it all together, don't you see it as like as one art piece? Do you know what I mean? Like the flow and all that stuff. So
yeah,
that's got to
I
feel awkward breaking it
definitely
up.
true. I definitely think like the page as a whole. So and it's funny, yeah, when you break it up panel by panel, you totally like kind of lose that. There's other things that web comics will do, like they can space it out so you have to scroll down extra far to
Hmm.
get to the new panel, and that like will give an extra pause or something. So
Hmm.
they have their own kind of ways that layout could kind of play into the storytelling.
That's
But the
cool
one where it's a little more second nature for me is definitely like the regular old comic page.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and within that, even like I think let's look at some of yours because Yeah, a lot of mine are like kind of like yours, like kind of straightforward as far as like nothing too crazy. You know what I mean?
Right, totally. Yeah, it's funny because I used to do crazy shit like with the panels, and I'll probably do some of that later on again. But then when I was doing this, I was like, let me just get straightforward. Let me just try to nail my storytelling, and just try to keep it as simple but still as interesting as I possibly can. But yeah, like there's some stuff that I couldn't see other artists having it translate when they do. Like the Max is one I could think of that does like crazy like panels and weird borders and whatnot. But yeah, it's I see what you're saying. Like taking some of like the artistic liberty when you're doing like a page with I'm trying to think of anybody that I can think of right now that does like weird stuff with their panels. There's people out there, but yeah, I used to do some wild stuff, but I sort of like keeping it straightforward for the most part right now.
Yeah. Here's a little inset POV panel. That's cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And like I'm kind of like either way. On one hand, I'm like even within the regular like rectangles, there's kind of unlimited potential to still even like mess with and have some nuanced storytelling that's kind of fun there that I like. And then yeah, the a little more crazy stuff is fun too.
Right.
And if you see like it's funny, sometimes stuff could get called a gimmick and that could be called like a negative term or whatever. But I kind of think of when it comes to comics, I think of gimmicks as like a very positive thing. I really like them.
Yeah, especially if they can nail it. And I like when people do wild stuff. And like you said, I mean, is it gimmicky though? It's just you're trying to keep it interesting. You know what I mean? Like even if it is gimmicky, a gimmick is still cool, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, isn't that what's the definition of gimmick? It gets you. It's something to get you interested, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, is that really the definition? That's funny.
No, I don't know, but I mean, I'm just saying, like when I think of a gimmick, like oh, it's a gimmick, but it's a gimmick. A gimmick is something that's
it's like a hook. It would be related to hook,
like exactly, yeah, like a song or something. Yeah, so it's meant to get you in. So I don't think of a gimmick. I don't think of a gimmick as a bad thing at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like Foreign Agent for me, that kind of had what could be called a gimmick where it has the language barrier between the soldiers and the family, and one dialogue bubble is black on white and one is white on black. And it becomes clear through the context of the story that they can't understand each other. So then they start communicating with drawings, and then the drawings are comics within comics that I hired other artists to draw. So it's kind of like meta or whatever.
That's
so
cool.
that's all like a gimmick, but it's all like kind of cool. And that one is like kind of cool because it's very like comic centric.
Right.
So I look for those. If I spot stuff like that, I get extra excited. I'm like, oh, this is like literally like the comic medium being like used in a cool way,
That's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of that, like there's some stuff in my story where I do some flashback stuff where I sort of want to get somebody else to draw like the flashback things that has, a different style just to separate it. But yeah, that's a great idea, dude. Like for them talking with comics within comics. So that's pretty badass. That's a hook. That's a gimmick. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like your banana thing, dude. Has anybody really done that?
Oh, maybe not. Maybe I could claim. Shoot.
Yes, dude.
Okay, I'm starting a new thing in this.
This is 2024. Like opening doors.
Unlocks that Narwhal has checked off so far.
Awesome.
1, giant banana. 2, comic within a comic. Kind of. I'm sure that has been done, but 2. I have to if I add 4 like. To pass language barrier or whatever, to overcome language barrier. That is maybe never been done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. I'm going to try and catch up a little bit with the chat. Everyone's just hanging out. Thanks everyone for being here. As we get closer to the hour, we'll update the campaign and we'll see if we got any new backers.
Cool.
And then if we don't, then somewhere in the world, a puppy and an angel died at the same time. But if we do, then they both live, which is awesome. That's cool. It's not within my power, I'm just saying.
It's awesome. It's on you guys. I'm happy though. I'm happy to shoot the shit on the night it's closing out. So either way, dude, I'm stoked. So that puppy and angel might have had it coming.
Yeah. A funny thing I was doing when I was helping someone promote once was I started begging the chat, and they were like, "You don't need to beg, Narwhal. My book it speaks for itself. Like you don't." And I'm like, "You don't need to beg. I'll beg. I'll beg for you, buddy."
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh man.
Zed says, "I will never understand how someone with a Chad name like Odysseus could use NICJ." Yeah, did he change? He goes by a different name. That's funny. Simply Green, smaller format with floppy issues. Small miniseries lends itself towards experimenting. The right gimmick for that right story character. If there's a mismatch, it can be glaring. Yeah. I guess there could be examples where it isn't working, but usually just even a failed experiment can be fun with comics.
And at least you tried. You know what I mean? At least
Yeah.
somebody took that chance. You know, I mean, you don't know.
I'll kind of keep an eye and look out for what might out there be considered so bad it's good, which is like kind of rare potentially. And it would be like something in the mainstream. The one that I was thinking could kind of qualify for that is Sean Gordon Murphy's previous crowdfunded one, which is about the editors in like the Matrix kind of.
Mhm.
They're called, what was that one called? Chat will know. The plot holes, it was called. And it's honestly like I'd almost say it's good, but then at the same time it's like not it's kind of like not good, but it's like it's fun how it's just like a fun crappy comic like but with great art, and the ways that it's bad is kind of charming. So like yeah, he kind of strikes the balance of so bad it's good, which is not even like necessarily a compliment like I would tell him to his face or anything.
Right.
But I wonder
he wrote it, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is actually another like props to anyone for putting themselves out there in that regards of like, because that is one way you can get so bad it's good stuff is kind of by the authentic cringe stuff, but like being fearless. And yeah, sometimes it's like best case scenario, you make a classic. Worst case scenario, you make something so bad it's good because it has some authentic cringe.
Right. That sounds like a good way or a good if you could find it, because I mean, you know, there's so many YouTube channels that do stuff on movies that are so bad they're good. I don't think anybody's ever done a comic, you know, review like that, or you know, a segment which could be, you know, which is what you're talking about doing, which I think would be sort of cool.
Yeah, some expanding. Of the YouTube stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a kind of famous web comic called Tails Gets Trolled. Have you heard of this?
No, is that from Sonic or?
Yeah, it's like a Sonic fan comic, and it's all like pixel art drawn in like kid pics, kind of like childish art. And apparently it's like, so it's, I think they put it in that category, like it's so bad it's good. And it might even get compared kind of to like The Room or whatever, you know, like legit like 1-to-1 almost comparison of like, whereas like the plot holes, like it honestly is like amazing art, and the writing isn't necessarily bad. It's just like whatever, like
right.
Kind of like yeah, whereas Tails Gets Trolled is like, I'm not sure if you could even say that the writing is good or not, but everyone says it's kind of a classic, but it's kind of like so bad it's good, I think. But that's one I definitely want to look into.
Did you ever, it's just totally off topic, but did you ever see that fan made Star Fox cartoon that's on YouTube?
Oh yeah. Dude, what's it called?
It's so good. I can't remember what the hell it's called, but it's so good. I don't know if he has any new episodes out. But
yeah, no, you're right. That is like one of the best things I've ever seen. Almost, I absolutely love it. Like dude, I kind of studied it. I studied its storytelling and stuff. I watched it multiple times.
Dude, so good. Yeah, the acting's great in it.
A Fox in Space. That's
it.
Called.
Yeah. Dude, so good, man. That's so funny. I'm glad somebody else is. I'm sure a lot of people have, but I haven't spoke to anybody that's seen it before. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Like because it was the second episode. The first was great too, but the second one I was like, what's going on here? This is like so good.
Totally.
It would have these scenes of suspense, and I was like staring at the screen. I was like, this is better than anything I've seen in a while.
Yeah, dude, I was hooked. And the voice acting was great too, dude. Like the different voices and shit. It was so good. I'm gonna check tonight to see, after I check out Old Snoopy, I'm gonna see if there's any new episodes of that out, because it's been at least like 2 years since I've checked. So
cool. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know if you've seen the actual episode 2 thing, maybe, because there was the first episode was awesome, and then episode 2 is like just the greatest thing ever. But then if there's episode 3, I like really. But so it's one guy. I mean, he has like lots of help and stuff, but one guy, kind of the mastermind. He does the voice for the wolf. Not Fox, but the wolf. But maybe Fox, and it's just. He does multiple voices though. He does all the voice acting, all the writing, all the animating. And yeah, the characters are great. And there's kind of good
Oh yeah.
humor mixed in there here and there too.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah. Real quick, Simply Green says, had an idea for using the gutters for a character integrated into the setting, wired into the ship. Yeah, yeah, something like that could be cool. That would be like a gimmick, but it could
Mhm.
totally be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I wonder. There's like, I know there was a video game by Hideo Kojima for the Game Boy Advance called, what was it called? Something, something, something. But it's a game where it's an RPG game where like the sun plays into the story, and the game came with a solar panel like on the cartridge, and you have to play outside.
I remember that, dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
I
like
never played it, but I remember the
Kodakai or
gimmick.
something. Yeah. Yeah, like that's a gimmick, but that's like
Mhm.
so cool. That Hideo Kojima, he has a few fun random things like that. Like he introduced that in Metal Gear Solid. He would I think in even Metal Gear Solid 1, they'd be like they track your playtime or whatever with
Yeah.
like Psycho Mantis,
Dude,
and he'd be like, what?
I remember. Did you remember? You remember playing that, right?
Yeah,
Because it blew my effing mind. He's like, "Oh, you played this game and that game," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then you have to change the controller out, or you have to take your memory card out and put the controller in the other slot in order to break his psychic connection. A gimmick, but it's so, dude. I love Hideo Kojima is the man, dude. I haven't played the game with what's his nuts, Daryl from The
oh
Walking
yeah.
Dead.
No, that
But
has
yeah,
the same. It has some similar awesome stuff. Well, so
really.
like not exactly like the meta stuff, but it has
Mhm.
this stuff where like a lot of what he does, and it ties into the meta stuff. But he does like try to encourage people like to play outside or to take breaks. He'll like deliberately
Mhm.
be like, "You've been playing a long time. Take a
Yeah,
break outside. Go play outside." Stuff like that. And I'm
it's
like, "That's
awesome.
cool." And all his games have a possibility of a pacifist run, which is
Mhm.
cool to have the choice. It's not like I do think it's like dumb if you forced either way, kind of. And it's
Yes.
really fun to have the option to do like a pacifist run. And he's definitely like every single game, that's kind of an important aspect. But I remember that comes up in the Daryl one. Shit, what is that one even called? I can't think of it.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, Death
Yeah.
Stranding. There's some cool stuff in that game.
I
Yeah,
gotta
but
play
that
it
in
then. Okay, I'm gonna play it.
yeah, and that one, if you kill a human
Mhm.
because of like the world, they become unstable and they become a bomb. Like they start to like deteriorate, and then it becomes like a huge explosion after like a minute or two.
Oh,
And
sweet.
there's these like huge pits that you have to get to a pit to throw the bomb, which recently was a person into the pit to be able to survive the blast. So
Okay.
huge. It's a huge like problem if you kill someone. So it's not like it's game over, but you have to like go on a huge side quest just to get rid of the bomb. And so it really encourages to not murder people, which is like kind of a little bit like in some ways like realistic. Like if you were a guy in that scenario, it's not like you would be a psycho killer in most
Right.
cases. Like actually, that was something I saw with Red Dead Redemption. My cousin was playing it when I was living with him,
Mhm.
and that game's sweet. But I randomly watched for 5 minutes, and I think he killed like 100 people in 5 minutes. It's like that doesn't feel like realistic. It's cooler. Not that it needs to feel that realistic, but it's cooler if you're gonna kill people if it's like 5 people. It's kind of a big deal when you kill someone or something.
Right. So less arcadey and more, uh, realistic. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
But
depending what you're going for. But that's
yeah,
like Kojima's kind of like in that ballpark, and it's fun how it plays out in other ways, like some of it, the gimmicks, the meta stuff, the sun, all that stuff is fun. This could be like a little YouTube essay, like Kojima being meta or like I don't know what the other word would be called, but it's like he's conscious of like because it can sound kind of too cheesy if you're like he's conscious of like ethics or whatever, because that came up
right.
with Pal World. This was the thing, like the annoying left-wing journos that all hate it, and the
Yeah.
and the left-wing developers, they all are like, oh, it's unethical because you have guns and you can kill the Pokemon. It's like, no, you can do. They're like, you can enslave it. It's like you can do whatever you want. Like
Right.
you could set them free, you could save them, you can enslave them, you could eat them, you could kill them,
Which is
you could.
choice, which is what you want in a
Yeah.
game. So as a kid who loved video games, I still do. I don't play them as much as I used to. But it's one of those things where I always love choices. So when you're playing a dumb game and you can actually shoot something or knock something off of the counter, you're like, oh shit, they put this in here. So for me, choice is what makes games better. You know what I mean? So I think it's you could do. It's like that one chick that said who said she was getting RAPED in Grand Theft Auto or whatever. Do you remember that? I think she writes comics too. But she was like interviewed about something like it's about choices. So you're gonna have people that can do that or don't do that. You know what I mean? And her story was bullshit anyway. But yeah, choice, dude. I think that's what makes a good game is giving you options and giving you choices to play a certain way or do something different. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I heard another funny one. I wish you could remember the exact phrasing, but it was somebody comparing Neil Druckmann to Hideo Kojima, and they said like Neil Druckmann's like the main writer for freaking
Last of Us, yeah. Amy Hennig was the real champion behind that whole company before they kicked her out. But I think
like I hate Neil Druckmann,
Same
and I
here,
don't know
he's
too
still full
much.
of himself, dude.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of it. And I love Kojima. I like literally love Kojima.
Me too. Influenced my story a lot too, dude. Like the military guys. But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it is cool that he has a lot of fun with that stuff. And it's fun because it's like when I was younger, I'd be like, I don't know enough about the military to like write and include military stuff in my stories. It's like, hey, Kojima does it. Like, what? I mean, you could do research or whatever, but you could just go for it, man. Like, there's a team and they have leaders. Like, whatever, you can just make it up.
Exactly, and we all have our views, whether we're in a war or not, about morality and all that other shit as well. That anybody that's granted, we're not saying we're we're anything comparable to actual soldiers or whatnot, but I mean, you can still have a view on war and that's what he did. He put his view on war out there. You know what I mean? So it shouldn't stop you from pulling all that shit together,
Yeah. So what the tweet said was like Kojima and Druckmann are both pretentious, but they're like different kinds of pretension. And Kojima's is like equal with you, and he's laughing with you, and he loves you. And Druckmann is pretentious, but he thinks he's better than you, and he hates you.
That's so true, dude. That's funny, man. That's pretty spot on at least from what I see of Druckmann. I was glad to see there was a picture of him, I guess, at some premiere for the Last of Us TV show, and there was like nobody knew who he was. You know what I mean? Because I think like going back to our point earlier with comics and every other medium, everybody's always trying to get to that Hollywood red carpet bullshit. You know what I mean? Whereas I'm happy just sitting in my house and drawing pages. I don't need any fame or any of that shit. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not what it's about for me. It's about the passion of doing it. And not to say that he's not passionate about it, but I'm saying it just seems like he's just so pretentious that he just wants to be the next, insider in Hollywood or the next big Hollywood thing. So yeah, I don't like that guy at all.
Yeah, it does totally feel like that. Zed said something awesome. He goes, in Metal Gear Solid, there is a psychic enemy that dodges your attacks unless you unplug your controller. Oh, no, I know that. That's awesome. We were talking about that. And then Simply Green says, Metal Gear Solid 3 has a sequence where you have to dodge the ghost of everyone you had killed up until that point. Yeah, that's like, he makes you conscious of that stuff. He just brings it to your attention.
Was that Snake Eater?
Yeah.
Because I've played those games when they first came out. I played them when they came out again. I have like the box set. I know they just came out again. And one of these days I'll probably pick it up and play through it because I think the other ones I had were for PlayStation 2 or 1 or PlayStation 2, I think. But yeah, dude, he's just everything he does about his games. I love Kojima. There was even a game back in the day called Zone of Enders, which was like a mech game for PS2 that I loved that he did.
Yeah, that was great. And Zone of the Enders 2 is like my favorite mech game. I've just watched the Let's Plays. It has such cool style. Like it's all the mechs. I think this is from Zone of Enders 1, but it's all based on like Egyptian gods and stuff. Is like that's a cool idea of like a way to do it too. Of like I don't know, to kind of pick like an analog and have like Jehuti. Am I making that up?
No, you're not. Jehuti. Yeah, that was the main mech in Zone of Enders, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. And that's like an Egyptian word, but I don't know what it means.
That's awesome.
But so we're gonna kind of start wrapping up here. But we got 13 people watching. Everyone, thanks for being here. Victor, I see you. Thanks for being here, man. Victor, a cool regular on Reni's channel, often.
Oh, awesome.
Hanging out. And then Zed's here, Snuggy Jr., Simply Green, Caleb, everyone. Thank you for hanging out. And yeah, so it won't close right when I end the stream. It will still be going for a handful of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone you have your chance tonight. Kind of help spread the word a little bit. If you see it on Twitter, retweet it. Let people know that tonight is the last night for Tome of Reckoning issue 2. And DIO has up to issue 5 is complete. So this will be fulfilling right away, and issue 3 will be launching shortly after that. The whole series is 15 issues, so it's kind of a big, fun, epic series. This is the beginning. You know, it's comparable in that way too, a little bit. Although this isn't, I guess this probably isn't episodic, like straight up. Would you say, or like, are the structure of each issue is it like more like one big story straight up, or is it a little bit episodic? Or
I mean, it's slightly episodic. I know I have some Monster of the Week issues coming up, later on down the line. You know what I mean? But it's all one big. It's episodic. Yeah. I mean,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Because Pete Samedi's King Cryptid. That's another one that, like, just the fact that it's kind of a long series that will be running a long time. If you know that, it's kind of funner to get issue 1. Whereas if you don't know, then you're a little bit like, will it even finish, or how far does this get? And if it's a little bit more episodic, that's even more kind of like, oh, cool. Like, so it's going to be a pretty long, fun series. So this is like that. Like, it is like a little bit like in the same category almost as King Cryptid. And King Cryptid has struck a little chord and kind of really taken off and become a cool phenomenon. And Tome of Reckoning kind of has that potential as well. So.
And it's one of these things too, like, let's say, knock on wood, that people bail on issue 3 or whatever, and nobody gets my book anymore. I'm still drawing it. So there'll be a time when it'll all be out. Just because it's my passion story, man. I've got a bunch of other stories I want to tell, but this is one that I've had that this is my Metal Gear. You know what I mean? My that's what sucks that they kicked him off that shit too. But this is my big opus, my epic story that I just have to get out, man. It's just eating me up.
Cool. Yep. People are saying hi and stuff. Victor likes the teen cover. Thanks, Victor. Sometimes you just want G.I. Joes. Yep. So now I dread this because I'm worried, but we'll do it. So I updated it. Now we wait. It did. It went up. It went up.
That's awesome, dude. Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man. That's super cool, dude.
Thanks, everyone. It went up too. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's cool. Like, so. Thanks. Cool little mini promo here. People still know. We're gonna kind of let people know as we go. And then you and me, let's just stay in touch and I'll help you promote 3 too when it comes out, dude.
I appreciate it, man. 2024 opening doors, brother. That's it.
Yeah, 2024 opening doors.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on, dude. Guys, thank you in chat. Guys and gals, thank you in chat. Thank you for everybody that backed. Thank you for everybody that retweeted, man. It's people talk about this not being a community. It is. I think it's a community as long as you want to be a part of a community and be cool and not caustic. So hopefully this keeps on trucking the way it is, dude. Narwhal, thank you so much, brother. I can't say thank you enough for taking time out of your day, time out of the delicious dinner you're gonna have to have my dumbass on to promote the last night of my book, dude. I really appreciate it, brother. Big time.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad that it helped a little bit.
It did.
And getting some eyes on it too, that always helps. And Chad, again, thanks for being here. Simply Green says, sometimes, Narwhal, I'll get you watching Standalone Complex. I know I haven't seen it yet, and everyone says it's great, so I do want to see that. So we'll see. I'll try and do it. But all right, I'm going to click end and see everybody later. Do hang out for just a second.